Oh, yeah. You hear that? The bell tolls. Yeah. And you know what that means. It's time for happier holidays. And I can't think of a much better way to start the happier holidays than starting with the classic Christmas movie. And I say classic because this movie is 1 year shy of 80 years old. I'm talking, of course, about It's a Wonderful Life. And the Happy Life legend himself, the poster child and perfect example for Happy Life Studios, George Bailey.
Merry Christmas!
Merry Christmas, George! Merry Christmas, George!
Merry Christmas, movie house! Merry Christmas, Emporium! Merry Christmas, you wonderful old building and loan! Hey! Merry Christmas, Mr. Potter! Happy New Year to you! In jail!
Welcome to Happy Life Studios, happier holiday style.
I just wanted to wish you a merry, happy Christmas.
We're here to make your holidays happier.
Did you notice that I wanted to wish you merry, merry, happy Christmas?
And not just a Merry Christmas, but
Happy, happy, merry, 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 happy, merry, happy, merry, happy, happy, merry, merry, happy, merry.
Don't forget jolly.
Jolly, jolly, merry, happy,
Happy, happy, merry, happy, merry, merry, holly.
happy, happy, merry, happy Christmas.
Yeah, all those things too, and more. Merry Christmas and happier holidays. What's up, Happy Lifer? Thanks for joining us today. I am so happy you did. You're road tripping with Steve-O today. I'm down here in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. In this awesome, peaceful, wonderful bed and breakfast in Sioux Falls, which I found out is actually owned by a Happy Lifer who is actually wearing a Happy Life shirt today. They texted me that. And I said, well, that's interesting because I'm recording Monday's podcast in your bed and breakfast. So I'm down here in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, and I thought I would bring you with me because it's very holiday-esque out here in Sioux Falls. It is cold. I thought it was cold in Seattle. Nope, it's cold here. There's snow on the ground, and then I'm in this bed and breakfast. I've got football on the TV. I had football on TV. I had to turn off because it was distracting me. And I've got the fireplace going on. There's this really cool, funky, like modern fireplace with all these cool colors and stuff. And it's just a great vibe. This bed and breakfast is so inviting and warm and peaceful. I will actually leave a link in the show notes if I can get that from them, and they're okay with that. I will leave a link in the show notes for this episode if you would be interested. I love this. It's got an upstairs separate unit. It's got a downstairs unit, and it's just the vibe is so peaceful. I've gotten so much work done already, and I'm just really enjoying this vibe. And so I thought I would bring you along with me. And speaking of enjoying vibes, I'm enjoying the vibe of Jimmy Fallon's Holiday Seasoning Christmas album. Brand new this year. And that's actually where that song that you just heard came from. So I want to thank you, Jimmy Fallon, for putting out a fun, interesting, relevant Christmas album, singing about things that are all about Christmas, but nobody else sings songs about, like Hallmark movies and the obnoxious uncle that tells the off-color jokes and so much stuff on this album. We talked about it already in one of the other podcasts, but I wanted to thank Jimmy Fallon, and we accept your wishes, Jimmy, and we will do our best to have a merry, happy Christmas. I love his album, Holiday Seasoning, and I love it because we all want to have a Merry Christmas, but we all want to have a happy holidays as well. And Jimmy takes it to that level. This song combines those two and more. It takes us from happy holidays to happier holidays, which is the whole reason Happy Life Studios puts out not only one, but many Happier Holidays episodes every year. I'm surprised at how many podcasts don't really even do specials, even one special on Christmas. It's such a great holiday. if your country celebrates it. And I don't know why more don't tie it into their regular podcast, but we don't just do one, we do many. As soon as we can, we start putting out Happier Holidays episodes because it's such an incredible holiday that represents being happy so well on so many levels. And you'll hear that not just this year, but in all the years we've done it in the past on our Happy Holidays episodes. Man, if you go to just search Happier Holidays off of whatever app you're listening to our podcast from, and we've got dozens and dozens of Happier Holidays episodes that will help make your holidays happier, which is exactly why, like I said, we put out our Happier Holidays in the first place. Because we too, like Jimmy Fallon, want you to have not just a Merry Christmas or just a Happy Holidays, but we want you to have even more than that. However happy your holidays are or will be, Happy Life Studios wants to help you make them happier. So even though you've heard that song twice already, once in last week's Ode to Joy to the World episode, and again in our bonus Thanksgiving Day episode, we're calling this episode the actual start of the Happier Holidays. Because last week's episode was really a holiday hybrid to help us wade into the holidays instead of cannonball into them. So we did a holiday hybrid with Ode to Joy, which isn't a Christmas song, and Joy to the World, which is. So we kind of hybrid in there to the holiday season. So I don't really count that as the official start. And our Jive Turkey Thanksgiving Day episode was a special bonus episode. So that's why we're calling today the real start of our Happier Holidays. And I hope you stick around throughout our whole Happier Holidays. I hope that you will help us spread this happy by telling other people about the podcast, telling other people about the Happier Holidays, by sharing it, by taking something positive and something motivational and something uplifting and something happy. Taking that joy, we see the commercials, we hear the songs, Joy to the World. I love those commercials. They inspire me. And that's really what we hope you will do with Happy Life Studios podcast. Now, if they're not inspiring to you, I wouldn't want you to share them. But if they are inspiring to you, think about the possibility of just sharing that on your page, sending it to somebody privately, whatever, someone that could use some happier in the holidays. Because honestly, happy holidays can be crappy holidays. Happy holidays can become hairy holidays. They can become scary holidays for a lot of people. And that's why we keep putting out the positive, happy content over the holidays to help us keep our mind right. So with that thought in mind, let's get this Happier Holidays started off right. And it's very fitting that we used Jimmy Fallon's song, actually, Merry Happy Christmas, because Jimmy Fallon is the inspiration that I got to record this episode. The reason I'm doing the topic that I am is because of something that I received from Jimmy Fallon just a few days ago while I was listening to him on Sirius XM radio. But I want to talk to you about George Bailey, because George Bailey is the epitome of a happy lifer. He's like the poster child for so many reasons. I'm just going to tag into a couple of them today. This movie is so, first of all, warming and life-changing and inspirational. And, man, it takes the crappy of the holidays and turns it into the happy of the holidays. It takes the Merry Christmas and makes it the happy Merry Christmas. The happy, merry, happy, jolly, holly. I mean, that's what it does, like Jimmy Fallon. It takes Christmas over the top in such a good way. It's just so positive and so inspiring. And it's because of George Bailey, the main character. The first reason why he's such a perfect fit as a happy lifer is because he's always so positive.
What is it you want, Barry? You want the moon? Just say the word and I'll throw a lasso around it and pull it down. Hey, that's a pretty good idea. I'll give you the moon, Barry.
I'll take it. Then what?
Well, then you could swallow it. And it'd all dissolve, see? And the moonbeams would shoot out of your fingers and your toes and the ends of your hair.
Everything was big, in my opinion, for George Bailey.
Mary, I know what I'm going to do tomorrow and the next day and next year and the year after that. I'm shaking the dust of this crummy little town off my feet and I'm going to see the world Italy, Greece, the Parthenon, the Colosseum. Then I'm coming back here and go to college and see what they know. And then I'm going to build things. I'm going to build airfields. I'm going to build skyscrapers 100 stories high. I'm going to build bridges a mile long.
Yeah, just like those clips suggested. That's George Bailey in a nutshell. The whole movie is full of him not just helping people, but being positive, super positive, just almost exaggerated. He was always up. Even in the movie when, and I hope this isn't a spoiler alert here. If you haven't seen It's a Wonderful Life over the last 80 years, then I guess I probably don't even have to give a spoiler alert here. But the scene when he's dancing, the big old school dance, and they open up the floor and there's a pool underneath it and he doesn't see it and he falls in and he gets all wet. Instead of getting upset, angry, whatever, he just keeps dancing in the pool. And then because of his positivity, because of that, everyone else starts jumping in the pool and starts dancing in the pool too, because happy is contagious. Happier holidays are meant to be contagious. And so many times it turns the other way around. Crappy holidays are contagious too. When someone is in a bad mood and everyone feeds off of it, right? Well, George Bailey, played by Jimmy Stewart, he spread happy all the time. But there's more than just him being happy, which takes me to Jimmy Fallon's inspiration that I got this week. He was talking about George Bailey, and he started mentioning all the positive things he does. Merry Christmas, Bedford Falls. What do you want, Mary? You want the moon? I'll lasso it for you. I'll bring it in for you. I want to travel all over the world. He's saying all these things, right? And then, like Jimmy Fallon said, it just cracked me up. Jimmy Fallon says, and then he wants to go jump off a bridge. I mean, you forget about that. He's so positive, but way into the movie, he wants to end it all. He wants to end it all. It's those two together. He's super happy, and yet he gets super sad to the point of he's thinking about ending his life. I think we feel guilty when we have negative moments. We feel guilty when we get to that point where we're in so much despair. Many people have been there. Where you're like, why am I even living? What's the point of living? There is a point for you living. We need you living. And we need you, yourself, your happy self. That's the self we need, because that's the self that makes the biggest difference. But happy is oftentimes connected to the sad as well. The whole concept of It's a Wonderful Life, the negative and the positive, they go together. And we feel so guilty when we have the negative moments and we're full of despair and depression. But we don't realize that that is also a part of life. A happy life doesn't mean negative will never happen to us. Sometimes we're just done. We're done. 1 minute we can be so up, but then things can happen. Negative can happen. That's why it's so important to spread positive, because sometimes it doesn't take a whole lot of negative to get someone from a point of happy to a point of crappy, from a point of gladness to a point of sadness. And what I love about George Bailey is he goes there. He goes there in this movie. It's okay to be sad. It's okay to struggle. There might even come times in this holiday season when you're just like, why do I have this negative attitude? I'm here to tell you it's okay. That's what I love about George Bailey. Sadness comes with happy. You don't know what light is unless you know what darkness is. Cold comes with hot. You don't know something is hot unless you know what cold is. You don't know if something is cold unless you know what hot is. If everything is cold, there is no cold. That's just it, right? If everything is happy, then there really is no happy. It's just normal. It's just it. And we want to rid our lives of the negativity and the sadness and the crappy. I understand that. We all do that. I want to do that, right? But it's there. What makes George Bailey so great is his decision to turn that, to flip that, to decide to believe that the world needs him, that it is a wonderful life, that his life does make a difference. Which leads me into the second point of why George Bailey is a poster child for a happy life. And it's the same reason, it's the same thing that helped him flip his attitude. It's the same thing that helped him turn his crappy into happy. And that is this. He was always helping others. That's what made his life a wonderful life. He was still in Bedford Falls because he helped his brother. He was still in Bedford Falls because his dad was in need of help, so he helped his dad. Everybody in Bedford Falls, all these people that had homes that he helped make their life happier because he helped. He sacrificed his own desires to help other people's desires, which is why he gets help. If you give help, you get help. If you plant peas, you get peas. If you plant corn, you get corn. If you plant happy, you get happy. If you plant help, you get help. Because George Bailey helped others, make somebody happy and you'll be happy too. George Bailey didn't help everyone so that they would help him, but that happened. Because he helped others, he planted help. He planted happy. He planted hope in the lives of the people in Bedford Falls. Because of that, he got that back. The beginning of the movie starts with all these prayers, people asking God to help poor George Bailey. And why were they asking God to help George Bailey? Because George Bailey had helped them. I always think it's so funny, too. His angel, just his name says everything about the angel. Clarence Oddbody. And the one line where he says, yeah, that's just kind of angel I'd get. Angel by the name of Clarence. But Clarence continues that on. Clarence helps George Bailey. He helps George Bailey to see how valuable he is. And that's a role not just as happy lifers, but it's also a role as just human beings to help other people to see how valuable they are. When someone is in despair, it's oftentimes because they don't feel seen. They don't feel valuable. And that's really why Happy Life Studios exists. This is not an infomercial for Happy Life Studios. I feel like I might be talking about Happy Life Studios a lot, but I'm lit up about this because it's so important to me. And we want to change the atmosphere on social media, or the atmosphere in our homes, or the atmosphere in our lives, in our workplaces, the atmosphere at the coffee shop we get our coffee from, or the grocery store we get our groceries from, or wherever the case may be. As a happy lifer, we want to make other people happy. And if we can just get a few people, that's why I'm so lit up about this, excited about this. If we can just get a few people to buy into it, it spreads. It multiplies. It's contagious. Which takes me back to our episode that we did for Veterans Day. And like I have said many times on Happy Life Studios, I love how Veterans Day is before Thanksgiving, which is before Christmas Eve, which is before Christmas, and then New Year's Eve, and then New Year's. I love the idea of celebrating our veterans. Why? Because our veterans fought for us, and we should support them. And that's what George Bailey did. He fought for the people of Bedford. He fought for his family. He fought for his friends, which is why his friends and family and Bedford Falls fought for him. When you help someone, you get help. Whether the help's name is Clarence Oddbody, whether God sends an angel without wings, right? That's Hollywood's version, but I still believe that helps. When you help people, you get help back. And I talk about the reason why our veterans are such heroes is because they fight for other people. And I love it when people fight for other people. It's one of my favorite things. I used to love when Extreme Makeover came over. Was that the name of it? And I remember watching that as they would build a house and they would show it to the family that maybe adopted all these kids or was an incredible coach in town, or, you know, they just never had anything. But even though they didn't have a lot, they always gave to other people. So then they were building a house for them. And I remember I was so moved by that. So I asked myself the question, why am I so moved by that? That's just kind of how I function. I want to be tuned into why I feel what I feel. And because sometimes if you're feeling, you can, if you figure out why you're feeling that way, you can either end that feeling, if it's negative, by fixing why you're feeling that way, like going to the root of the problem. Or you can keep, if it's a good feeling, you can keep feeling that way because you realize, why I feel this way because I'm doing this or because I'm thinking this, so I'm going to continue to think that. You know, like one of our credos in Happy Life Studios is to look, listen, remember. If the things that you're looking at are creating happiness, then keep looking If the things you're thinking about, remembering, and you're listening to are creating hope and joy and happy in you, then keep thinking about those things. But if they're creating the opposite, if they're creating negativity in you, that's why I want to figure out, why am I feeling? If I'm feeling down, it's my body trying to show me a sign. Wait a minute, something's up. Why am I feeling this way? When I figure out what that situation is, then I can go to that situation and I can fix the root of the problem. And that's what I was doing when I was watching Extreme Makeover. I was so moved by that. I'm asking myself the question, why does that move me so much? I don't know that family they're building the house for. I don't know the people that are building the house. I don't know any of that stuff, but I'm so moved with that. And other shows like it, I really get inspired by them. It comes down to this, because they're fighting for somebody. They're fighting for somebody that other people didn't see, that maybe were invisible at one point, but they're fighting for them. They're sticking up for them. They were saying, you are valuable. That's why we're building this house for you. Now, we can't go out and build houses for others. Now, if you can, do it. Just go do it, man. But most of us are not going to be able to build houses for other people, but we can build hope for other people. We can build a happy home in the things that we say to them. We can create the space that they're in, make it a little bit happier. And that's what George Bailey did. And George Bailey went through the crappy and got back to the happy. And life throws curveballs at us. Life can get tough. And everyone's going to have a Potter, the villain of the movie, who is greedy, didn't care about anybody else except himself. He was the antithesis of George Bailey. Life is full of people like that. But George Bailey still, as you listen in the very beginning of the episode, right? George Bailey was like, Merry Christmas, George. George Potter says, and Happy New Year to you while you go to jail. But see, George Bailey still continued to be good to Potter. He's that way for a reason. Something probably happened to him. Someone didn't share the happy with him. And I think about when we go around and start spreading happy to other people, how many people do we help save from becoming the villain of somebody else's movie? And that's why I think George Bailey is the epitome of a happy lifer. And I think if we grab these principles to just help people, whether they're being mean or nice to us, to just try to be happy and positive. And when we're not, we go get help. Some of that help will be from us to cut some slack. Hey, if George Bailey can get negative and make it, I can too. And the answer, the whole point of that movie is, well, what if he never did exist? What would life be? And I think we all want, that's why that movie is so great. I think we all want our life to matter, and your life does matter. Your life does matter. We need you. And we need the happy you, even when things get tough. Someone in your world needs something positive today, and you might not even know the person that you're doing it to, but a smile, an extra little tip for the food, a pat on the back, a letting them go in front of you, a wave, a hug. There's so many ways, a text. There's so many ways to just do things to help people, to plant some hope and to plant some happy.
Make someone happy. Make just one someone happy. And you will be happy too.
So I hope your holidays are happier. I hope they're not just merry. I hope they're merry, happy, happy, merry, holly, jolly, merry, happy, 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 merry, merry holidays. And remember, life isn't perfect, but that doesn't mean it can't be happy.
Steve Ace.